This morning, newly released audio from Jeffrey Epstein's confidant, Ghislaine Maxwell.
I never witnessed the president in any inappropriate setting in any way.
Maxwell describing her interactions with President Trump decades ago.
The president was never inappropriate with anybody. In the times that I was with him, he was a gentleman in all respects.
Adding she does not believe former President Clinton did anything inappropriate either while interacting with Jeffrey Epstein, who would later become a convicted sex offender.
President Clinton was my friend, not Epstein's friend.
Over 2 days last month, Maxwell spoke with Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche, who is one of President Trump's personal lawyers.
Whatever you talk about today, you have what's called immunity.
The revealing testimony raising new questions over whether Maxwell will be pardoned. The president saying only this in a recent interview.
I'm allowed to do it, but nobody's asked me to do it.
Maxwell, Epstein's co-conspirator, was convicted in her own trial for child sex trafficking and grooming young girls. She is currently serving a 20-year sentence. But on Friday, Maxwell's attorney argued his client was a scapegoat after Epstein died in prison. The White House has been facing mounting pressure to release more information about the investigation into Epstein, who the Justice Department concluded died by suicide while awaiting trial in 2019. Conspiracy theories have swirled that he was murdered to cover up a client list.
Did you know of the existence of any such list?
There is no list.
Maxwell was asked about what she thinks happened.
I do not believe he died by suicide.
The interview, released on the same day the Justice Department turned over its first batch of Epstein files to Congress in response to a subpoena.
I'm in support of keeping it open. Innocent people shouldn't be hurt, but I'm in support of keeping it totally open. I couldn't care less. You got a lot of people that it could be mentioned in those files that don't deserve to be people, because he knew everybody in Palm Beach.
All this as FBI agents searched the home and office of former Trump administration National Security Advisor John Bolton. Officials say it was related to the handling of classified materials. Bolton, a prominent Trump critic, was fired by the president during his first term. He later published a scathing book about his time in the White House. Bolton was recently asked if he expected to be targeted by the president.
I think it is a retribution presidency.
But President Trump Friday said he first learned about the searches from television.
I know nothing about it. I just saw it this morning.
Now, a source close to Bolton believes this investigation may be, quote, retribution for his outspoken criticism of President Trump. The first Trump administration had sued to stop publication of his 2020 book, alleging it contained classified information. Ultimately, though, the Biden administration chose not to continue the legal battle. Laura.
All right, Melanie and Zanona at the White House for us. Thank you.
We want to bring in Meet the Press moderator, Kristen Welker. Kristen, good morning. This was sort of a remarkable Friday. There was a ton of news that came out, and this one obviously getting a lot of attention. Jeffrey Epstein here. Remember that Ghislaine Maxwell is trying to have her conviction overturned, so she's sort of incentivized to tell the Justice Department lawyers what they want to hear, critics say. So the big question is, this has been an issue that's infuriated the MAGA base. Are these transcripts, this audio, enough to sort of put that to bed?
Peter, it's a great question, and I think you hit on a critical point. Ghislaine Maxwell is widely seen as someone who's not a credible witness. She, of course, has been convicted in Jeffrey Epstein's sex trafficking ring. So let's just start there. When you talk about the Epstein files, you're talking about tens of thousands of documents. So there's absolutely no way that just by releasing her interview, it's going to quell the calls to release all of those files. There's a bipartisan push on Capitol Hill to try to force DOJ to release all of the files. This is a real political flashpoint. If you look at the polls, 82%, Peter and Laura, 82%. Think of any poll that's 82% of Americans say they want to see all of these files released. As you say, this has long been an issue for the MAGA base, calling for the release of the files. And now Democrats see a political opening as well. They're trying to paint the Trump administration as not being transparent. So I don't see this dying down anytime soon, Peter and Laura.
Kristen, I also want to ask you about this search of John Bolton's home and office. You were doing a lot of reporting about that yesterday as it was breaking. You also happened to get an interview with the vice president. How did he defend this search?
Well, I pressed the vice president over whether this was retribution, as you just heard Mel there say at the end of her report, there are people who are looking at it that way because he's a critic of President Trump and because he joins a long list now of critics of President Trump who are under investigation. The vice president vehemently denying that this is retribution, saying, look, it's important to just let this process play out. But a source close to John Bolton says this looks like retribution because of his criticism and because of that book. Now, notably, in a highly unusual move, you guys, law enforcement officials speaking out about this. We typically don't see that. You had Kash Patel, FBI director, posting, no one is above the law, and the Attorney General Pam Bondi adding, justice will be pursued always. Now, look, it's worth noting we do not know what is at the root of this FBI investigation, although the vice president did tell me that classified documents were a part of it. He also said there were broader issues at play as well. Without going into specifics, we likely won't know what's at the root of it until court documents are unsealed. And notably, we have not yet heard from John Bolton himself. Laura and Peter.
All right, Kristen, we appreciate you waking up on a Saturday. We'll see you on a Sunday. For much more, Meet the Press tomorrow morning when Kristen's guests include the Vice President J.D. Vance, Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov, and the Democratic California Senator Adam Schiff.
Hey, thanks for watching. And don't forget, you can catch the Today Show every morning on NBC or take Today when you're on the go. Just follow the Today podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen.